Greetings again, YouTube. I took a few minutes to calm down after my last video. If anyone is, if you guys watch it, please watch it before this one. It explains why this one's probably about to get very heated. Once again, I apologize for my aggravated tone, but I have a hard time keeping my head when people like this want to pretend to be smarter than they really are. As I mentioned in my last video, a gentleman, or this might be a girl, I apologize, but I'm going to assume you're a guy. A gentleman by the name of McMonster65 has been commenting on some of my videos, and I'd like to just, because I can't do this all in text comments, and I'd much rather have this as a video in case anyone else wants to take a look into this. This is more examples of problems with evolutionary theory and with evolutionists who like to think that they're smarter than they really are. Another thing he mentioned about one of my videos, when I talked about the, Phoenix Shade, I believe his name was, a gentleman who was a very angry person who he was extremely unpleasant to have to talk to, and I made a video about it. And so I'll give you what McMonster had to say about the video. He said, having sat through 7 minutes and 40 seconds of whining, do you anywhere address the fact that an identified frame shift mutation on an identified gene in an identified chromosome confers a spectacular advantage to the bacteria? Since you have never heard of it, surprising as it is often raised, you might want to look up 5 species of Hydelepta native to Hawaii with mouth parts adapted through genetic mutation to feed only on bananas, introduced a few hundred years ago, but evolution has never been observed. Okay, my first comment was thank you, basically was thank you for calling me a whiner, because I was trying to point out that there was an evolutionist douchebag who who had just overlooked my point and decided to bash me because he put himself on a plateau above me, which you just did. So thank you for getting the point of my video after watching it. I said, first off, the video was to call out a person who I believe was wrong. If you don't like it, don't watch me. Second, watch the whole video and you'll see what my rebuttal is. My rebuttal to his talking about the speciation between the lizards, it's really easy to understand. If you don't understand it, then you are an idiot. I apologize for that, but you really are. It's a very simple rebuttal, because his argument may be weighing on big words, but in the end, it doesn't amount to anything. And being able only to eat bananas does nothing to advance the species and causes more problems than it solves if bananas were to die off in the islands. That was not a rebuttal of your point. It was simply saying that if you want to talk about a species that has adapted the ability to eat only bananas, you're not advancing the theory of evolution's explanation of how we got here any farther, except by showing that it's a something, which I wasn't even sure what this was, this Hydelepta, at first, but I'm much more aware now, is you're not showing anything except its ability to move somewhere, eat something, and if that something goes away, die off entirely. You've done nothing to advance your point. So he said, first off, the video was to call out a person I believe was wrong, and he says, but you were wrong and he was right. No! No, no. I watched and you didn't have a rebuttal. Again wrong. Please know what you're talking about before you put text in the text box. You're making me angry. Your response to Hydelepta really shows you don't have an understanding of the subject at all. Duh! Duh! Because I don't care. Your point is completely invalid. It has nothing to do with anything. So I looked it up to see if it had anything to do with anything. It doesn't. And I will explain that in a second. First of all, we're not talking about advancing a species, which is not a prediction of the theory anyway. I can't even begin to attack this. First off, we're not talking about advancing a species, which is not a prediction of the theory. Yes, it is. Evolution theory explains how a species becomes more complex, more advanced, and branches off into more species. If you deny that, you are the single stupidest evolutionist I have ever met in my life. Please stop talking. I'm doing all right on time. I'll go back to ranting. We are talking about the creation of species. Thank you for taking my point. 5 of them, these 5 could no longer mate with the original population. The point is the 5 evolved. Again, I already tackled just because it can't mate with anything and its population doesn't make it a new species. Just because you give something a name, saying, oh, it can't mate with anything, that makes it a new species, that doesn't advance the actual factual point that you've advanced the life form itself to a point where it can become anything other than what it is. As I found out, the Hydelepta was originally called a butterfly. In here, I'll give you, this is a quote from Kenneth Miller, who is professor of biology at Brown University. And this is quoted from him. It's televised debate back in 1997, which is 11 years ago. Excuse me. And I can give you several examples of new species that have emerged within human observation. The best example I can give you is the butterfly. The genus of the butterfly known as Hydlepta. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Hydlepta is a genus of butterfly that feeds on various plants. It is endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, which means it's only found there, and there turn out to be two species of Hydlepta with mouth parts. Sorry if I'm speaking fast. That allow only them to feed on bananas. Why is this significant? Because they were introduced about 1,000 years ago by Polynesians. We know this from the written records of the Hawaiian Kingdom, which means that by mutation natural selection, two species have emerged from Hawaiian Islands within 1,000 years, and I think that's a very good case in point. So, McMonster, the evolutionist, I'm quoting a very reputable evolutionist who has just debunked you. Notice that. 1. You said 5 species. There are 2. 2. You said a few hundred years. It's been 1,000. And 3. I'm going to tackle this as a point in and of itself. More research was done on this after, let's see, whom, pardon me, yes, a group named Parents for Objectivity in Science and History, who critiqued his high school biology textbook, brought some of these points up. First off, it's a moth, not a butterfly. They're subject to pest control, wasps and flies, because the damage they inflict on commercial banana plantations. Neither does it appear that the moths that inflict the damage, but the caterpillar. So it's not even the butterfly, like Mr. Miller, and I'm sure yourself would have pointed out if given more time. These moths are closely related to other moth species whose larvae not only feed on the foliage of banana plants, but on coconut palms, pineapple trees, and sugar cane. Let's see. Miller claims that the 2 species that feed on banana, he actually says banana, which would indicate the fruit, but there are 6 in Hawaii according to the literature. Of these 6, 1 is known to occasionally attack banana, but has a preference for the palm. That these other 5 species only attack banana crops may or may not be correct. The scientific literature only suggests that it is a possibility, and other food sources are not ruled out. So, once again, I was called ignorant of the subject. I was told I was wrong, and again McMonster has proven that he has no idea what he's talking about. Let's go over what he says again. You talked about the identified frame shift mutation on an identified gene, an identified chromosome, which I suppose you were referring to the lizards or the salamanders that I spoke about in my video. Once again, you hide your point, or you hide what you're trying to push to us behind a whole bunch of big words that no one really understands. Let me again explain this to you, that these big words you use are evolutionist jargon. Please, take a look at the real-world application of your theory and how it falls apart, which I just mentioned. These butterflies are actually moths. Moths eat lots of things. Because they are capable of eating a banana, and it's not even the banana, it's the leaf, doesn't prove anything. And it doesn't mean that this is even a new species. And another point, which has not even been entirely made yet, is I haven't seen anywhere where it has been objectively tested whether or not these moth species can actually interbreed with each other. You assume that these moth species cannot interbreed, and in another one of my videos I mentioned how Darwin's finches were originally believed to not be capable of interbreeding because they didn't, and it was shown that it was possible. Another evolutionist whoopsie in the great big bucket of evolutionary mistakes. So, 1. After these 2 videos, I suggest that you do more research before you open your mouth. 2. Stop calling me ignorant, because I know what I'm talking about. And 3. Do more research on your theory and apply it to the real world and see how it falls flat on its face. I'm done ranting for this evening. Thank you all for listening, and McMonster, I hope you have some way of explaining yourself after all of this. Peace, God bless, and to Jake 1148EB, my good friend, if you would like to leave a comment for anyone in this video so that people can find you and know who you are, because I'm not going to link you in the sidebar, please feel free to do so. And once again, thank you, my friend. Thank you, all of my brothers and sisters, Christian or non-Christian. Peace, God bless, and take care of yourselves.